If you're a facilities manager at a warehouse and your HVAC system goes down, it can turn up the heat, literally. But don't sweat it, Grainger has you covered. Grainger offers over 1 million industrial-grade products for all your operations, including warehouse HVAC maintenance. And even better, they offer access to experts and fast delivery, so you and your warehouse can both keep your cool. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of the AfterBuzz podcast. My name is Nico Ed Jimmy and your host of the AfterBuzz, and with me, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Buzz Adams.
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
I am not a myth. I'm very real. I'm not like Sasquatch.
There are ways how you are like Sasquatch.
I'd like to hear a couple of those.
I don't know.
It's said that the Sasquatch has a terrible odor. I don't.
Hairy chest, smelly dick.
Smelly dick. I think it's just the whole Sasquatch is supposed to have a pungent smell.
All of Sasquatch is supposed to smell like a smelly dick.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Okay. I can't believe I'm going to ask you to do this, but please Google Mike Lindell.
I got a call this morning that was all about the MyPillow guy, and I didn't get around to playing the call. In fact, I didn't even get around to listening to it, but it seems like somebody was writing in to say that he had infiltrated the Democratic National Convention to sell pillows.
No, to find evidence of like Satan worshiping. That's the one to the left. He shaved his mustache.
It's kind of like the first time you saw Alex Trebek without his mustache.
Yes, it looks insane.
Oh, so it looks like he got credentialed. He has a DNC necklace.
I'm sure that's whoever. I mean, if you go to the convention,
do you think you get in just by going and showing up? I bet you have to go.
Tickets?
I think you
in a
either
giant
have to,
stadium.
I think you have to be part of the delegation or a guest. You know, I think you have to. I don't think you could just show up. I mean, I don't know. I've never been to a political convention in my life, but I can't imagine it's just everybody who shows up is welcome to come in.
Yeah, it's actually a good question.
I don't know.
All right, let's get into today's topic of the AfterBuzz, or for the AfterBuzz. The Bermuda Triangle. How familiar are you with it?
I was very fascinated by the paranormal and things like the Bermuda Triangle and definitely UFOs when I was a kid, to the point that it drove me crazy that I would never know the truth of all these mysteries that were going on. Fortunately, I found out the truth is it's almost all bullshit.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. The Bermuda Triangle has about the same amount of missing aircraft and ships as any other point in the ocean.
Okay, so the Bermuda Triangle, you can actually picture it if you draw a line in your mind from
Bermuda.
Well, yeah, Bermuda.
Florida
to Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico to Bermuda.
I don't know if that's right. Puerto Rico's on the west side of Florida.
It's on the east side of Florida. Puerto Rico, what are you talking about?
Now I got to see the Bermuda Triangle map. Oh, shit, it is over there to the...
I want to hear you say the words. I want to hear you say the words.
I was wrong.
Yeah.
I didn't know where Puerto Rico was. Puerto Rico's further away from the U.S. than Cuba is.
Yeah.
I actually went on a cruise in this area.
In the Bermuda Triangle?
I guess we probably crossed. I mean, we definitely could see. Cuba's a huge island. It was like off our starboard bow for a full day. That's how
the whole island.
Yeah, Cuba is way bigger than Florida.
Well, the Bermuda
But
Triangle,
I didn't know Puerto Rico was stuck out there so far. That is something I absolutely didn't know.
also known as the Devil's Triangle, is based on an urban legend where a number of aircraft and ships are said to have disappeared under mysterious
It's
circumstances.
documented that there were a number of not just ships and planes, squadrons in some case, squadrons of military aircraft. It's a compelling theory, but statistically it doesn't pan out to be all that unusual at all.
Well, the first reported disappearances were around the 50s. But in 1970, a pilot, what's his name? Bruce Gernon, all right? Okay. December 4th, 1970, was flying from the Bahamas to the Florida coast and had to go straight through the Bermuda Triangle. And he reported experiencing something he couldn't explain and has never experienced again.
What did he experience? He lived to tell the tale, though, right?
Yes, he did live. So he's not one of the planes that disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle.
But he must have seen something really freaky, right?
Okay. In his recount of what happened, he describes flying through and how a journey that should have just taken 90 minutes, okay, was finished in 30 minutes. So based on his navigation charts and the gas and the speed he was going, he should have been where he was supposed to be in 90 minutes.
But he was there in 30 minutes.
He was there in 30.
So like a time jump or some kind of rift in the space-time continuum, possibly?
He explains, I didn't believe in time travel or teleportation until this happened to me. Fog surrounded my aircraft, and I leapt 100 miles. He recalls flying through a dark cloud at about 10,000 feet before reaching another cloud at 11,000 feet. Flying through the second cloud, he writes, everything went pitch black with no sunlight at all.
Wow.
The controls on his aircraft appear to stop working as he describes the plane being held and flown by a type of force.
Not him.
Not him. Once he exited the dark clouds, Gernon realized he had reached Miami, Florida in just 30 minutes.
Human error? You know.
That one's weird.
We could be fooled by our senses.
We could.
It can even happen to somebody who's experienced like that.
But missing that much time, something that you could calculate by having a watch.
Yeah, but all the instruments stopped working, so maybe he didn't have a watch. Maybe he was relying on the dashboard instrumentation. Maybe he dozed off. But I mean, that sounds as unlikely as the dimensional jump, but at the same time, we know that people do fall asleep. That's a phenomenon that we know happens, and you know, maybe it was one of these planes that could kind of continue on the course trajectory.
Have you heard any explanations for the Bermuda Triangle? Why some of those things?
Sure. Okay. There's some kind of, Atlantis is down there, and they have some kind of ancient technology that jams radar or whatever. That there's some anomaly in the Earth, gravitational or whatever that runs haywire with the instrumentation. Mm-hmm. I've heard of that one before. There's a time portal or some kind of rift in the space-time continuum. Well, there are some facts about it. One, the Bermuda Triangle kind of cuts through the Gulf Stream, which is a strong ocean current, and it can cause sharp changes in local weather. And this is often what many people are experiencing when they pass through. Explain that to me again.
The Gulf Stream, it's like this big current that, the Gulf Stream.
In the water, right?
Right.
Would this affect an airplane as well?
It can affect the weather, actually.
Oh, okay.
Local weather. And so that's probably what Mr. Gernon was experiencing. Also, many people believe that the decay of methane hydrate at the bottom of the ocean could create large enough bubbles that these bubbles would rise up and potentially sink any ships that they came into contact with.
That would explain
The ships.
ocean-going craft.
Right. And the other thing is that it's right in Hurricane Alley, the Bermuda Triangle, right?
There's some rough weather that
In
brews
general.
up out there. We see that every summer.
Exactly.
Okay.
So there are some logical... Oh, there you're going to get into the explanations.
I'm on the Wikipedia page.
Huh.
A guy named Larry Cush
Yeah.
wrote a book in 1975 called The Bermuda Triangle Mystery Solved. And he crunched all the numbers, and he based a lot of it on Bruce Gaddis's story.
Mm-hmm.
His conclusion was the number of ships and aircraft reported missing in the Bermuda Triangle was not significantly greater than any other part of the ocean. In the area frequented by tropical cyclones, the number of disappearances were neither disproportionate, unlikely, nor mysterious.
Mm-hmm.
Some disappearances he concluded had, in fact, never happened. One plane crash that was said to have taken place in 1937 off of Daytona Beach in front of hundreds of witnesses. He could not find any actual proof that event had ever happened. You know, it was just kind of like a story that was out there.
So maybe the myth around Bermuda...
That was
legend.
That was one of the paranormal mysteries that I gave up on fairly early. Like, even when I was really
so you were all
fascinated.
into the paranormal.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to believe. I was like a little fox molder.
Yeah, no wonder you liked X-Files.
Yeah.
So it's only confronting the truth.
I think it's a lot more interesting to find out the truth, which is a lot more boring. You know, statistically, there aren't more disappearances than any other part of the ocean. Is not as exciting as there might be an ancient radar jamming machine from the sunken continent of Atlantis. I mean, which one of those makes an interesting movie?
Right.
Yeah.
And which one's probably the truth?
But I have really gotten to the point, I love finding out the rational explanation behind not just paranormal claims and stuff like that, but even like ancient myths. Like a great example is why people thought cyclopses existed.
Didn't you say that it was probably from mastodons or mammoths in the Ice Age, and that where their trunks
They
are?
had found the fossilized skulls of some of these giant animals that looked like it had a gigantic cavity
in the
right
forehead.
in the middle of the head.
Yeah.
So any ancients finding that might have speculated, well, that was a giant guy who had one eye right in the middle of his forehead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, interesting to find out what the truth behind it could be, but you have to be able to set aside any magical thinking.
Right.
You know, anything that draws a conclusion not based on anything other than your own creativity.
Other than what your bias might already be.
You have to recognize your bias. You have to set that aside. And I find that when you do that, you find a lot more interesting answers than the paranormal explanations.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Absolutely fair.
I don't want to sound like a know-it-all, because somebody who's into this, it sounds like I think I'm so much smarter than you, which I don't. I don't think I'm any smarter than people who believe in ghosts or aliens
right.
or anything. I just know how to order my thoughts in a way that gives a better conclusion, I believe. That even sounds like
that even
sounds worse. No, I know. It's like, I know how to think, and you don't.
I know how to think.
That's not what I meant to imply at all. But there is a discipline to ordering your thoughts and basing things based on rationalism.
Right.
And
the scientific method,
Yeah, it's a scientific
rationalism,
method.
empiricism, they've all been parts of the modern human.
And some people find that boring.
Yeah.
And we're different. You know, people are different, but I prefer the scientific method.
All right, just a couple of other notes on ocean-going travel. Rarely seen items have been recovered from the Titanic, and they kind of reveal a tragic twist of fate for one woman, particularly her. So they found an alligator skin handbag. It's been recovered from the Titanic.
Do you know they've not found any human remains from this?
No, I knew
because
that.
of the pressure, it would have pulverized.
Well,
those a long time
that
ago.
or the fish would have eaten them.
I'm sure.
Like
But
they
the
said, they might
the
find
pressure
bones.
is so incredible. Well, just last year you saw what it did to that submersible.
Right.
You know,
right.
that is the kind of stuff that's not going to leave a lot of evidence. Any evidence that it left is not human remains. So what happened to this lady?
Okay, so a company has salvage rights to the Titanic. Some company. And
Bill Paxton's company, I'm sure.
you know what? Bill Paxton or Cameron, are you thinking?
No, Bill Paxton was the captain of the ship that, with the old lady on board, and they were there to find. That was Bill Paxton.
Oh, yeah.
He was the captain.
Yeah. All right, I forgot that part.
He had a fat first mate who was like, "Lady, that really sucks." When she did you ever see Titanic?
Yeah, of course I did. I had it on VHS, and it came in two VHS.
Right, it was such a big movie; it had to be on 2 tapes.
All right, so this woman, they found out who her name was. Her name was Marion Meanwell, and she was a third-class passenger.
Uh-oh. That ain't good.
Right?
They probably locked your ass in there with all the Irish.
She was a 63-year-old milliner. Do you know what that is? Because I don't.
It's a word I've heard before.
Yeah.
I
almost want to Google the word, but a person who makes or sells women's hats.
Oh, like a female version of a haberdasher.
She was traveling to the U.S. to be with her daughter, who had just been widowed. Oh. And there were a number of items found in her bag, including a faded photograph, which is believed to have been her mother.
And it was still visible after all the years that it was under the ocean?
It was.
Wow.
Also was a medical inspection card, a reference letter from a landlord in London, and a handwritten note that said, "We have always found Miss Meanwell to be a good tenant, prompt with payment."
Oh, great. She took her references with her to America.
Okay, so they needed a medical inspection card because passengers had to provide proof they weren't carrying diseases overseas.
Sure. That was a big scene in Godfather 2, all about Vito Andolini coming to Ellis Island.
But on her medical, her medical inspection card was in there.
Yeah.
It was found that she originally booked to travel on the Majestic, which was another White Star Line ship from the same company.
Uh-huh.
However, the boat never set sail, so on the document, Majestic is crossed out and changed to Titanic.
Okay.
Now, the transfer...
It's like how Jack Dawson won his ticket in a poker game dockside before the ship sailed.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she won her ticket in a poker game.
This transfer made her doomed, essentially.
Yeah.
Making her one of the 1,500 people who lost their lives. Otherwise, she would be just another name on a list that maybe made it on their way. Isn't that crazy?
I mean, there must be that many stories. How many people did you say died?
1,500. I don't know how
there
many.
Be 1,500 stories that are
well,
just
but
as
how many were like,
interesting
you're going to be on this boat. Never mind.
It seems like some Final Destination.
Yeah,
shit.
that's like some Final Destination shit. All right. Well, let us know what kind of paranormal stories you're into. What you think of the Bermuda Triangle. What you think of the Titanic.
I got a couple others that have been thought of as seagoing mysteries.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever heard of the Flying Dutchman?
Yeah, that's what one of the pirates on the Caribbean used to sail.
There have been reports through the centuries of a ghostly ship that sails not on the water, but in the air, above the water, and then disappears mysteriously.
I think they did use the Flying Dutchman in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
That has been pretty much explained away as what's called a superior massage. Excuse me.
A massage?
A mirage. I guess maybe I'm in need of a massage. A mirage that makes ships in the distance look higher than they are.
Okay.
And when they disappear, that's the ship actually going over the horizon. It makes it look like it disappears.
Yeah.
The Bimini Road. Have you ever heard of the Bimini Road?
Bimini.
It's a bunch of underwater colossal blocks of rock that look to many people man-made. But these would have been underwater for the last 20,000 years. There are some people that are sure that they've found evidence of the lost continent of Atlantis. But scientists in the relevant fields, so oceanography, geology, have identified them as naturally occurring parts of the seafloor.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, never heard of that one before?
No, hadn't heard that one. That's going to do it for today's episode of the After Buzz podcast. Check us out every Tuesday and Thursday. And don't forget to listen to the regular Buzz Adams morning show, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on 95.5 KLAQ El Paso's Best Rock.